Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Wednesday, October 11th edition of our video devotionals. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope your Wednesday's going well. It is the middle part of the work week and the school week once again. And then, of course, this evening, many of us will have a Wednesday evening service. And hopefully you can be a participant in that. And then, of course, as I've asked you folks to pray, tonight's our last night of revival at the church here, not too far from us, but we've had a wonderful services, and last night was a great service, and tonight's the last one. And with that being said, at our church, we've got one of our newest members who's actually going to be conducting our Wednesday night Bible study or sermon. He's got something he's going to present to the people, and we appreciate that. And it wasn't probably 3 months ago or less, I knocked on he and his wife's door, invited them to church. They came the very next day, which was Sunday, and then they became members about I don't know, maybe a month, 5, 6 weeks ago, something like that. He's a retired pastor, and he led the singing this past Sunday. He'll lead it tonight and then conduct the Bible study. And that's a tremendous blessing. And I know he's a blessing to our folks. And so what I'm saying is be in your church and be a participant, do what you can. And if you're there and you say, well, I don't really have any responsibilities, well, you just being there is a tremendous blessing. There's no doubt about it. And any preacher will tell you that, and I'll guarantee anybody that attends, when they see people that are faithful, especially to those Sunday night and Wednesday evening services, that's a tremendous blessing. And besides what you're going to get from the pastor, the speaker who's got something for you, and I believe that's very important. All right, we're going to forego the Today book, and we'll pick back up with it tomorrow. We're in Matthew chapter 26. We end Matthew tomorrow, 28 chapters, and tomorrow we're going to center in on the crucifixion of Jesus, give something from that, and then certainly mention the resurrection that will follow. It's interesting when you read these chapters. Today was chapters 25 and 26, and so much in there. We're going to be in chapter 26, and we're going to begin at verse number 36 and read down to I think verse number 41, maybe a little bit further than that, and give us something that will probably be more challenging today than anything. But at any rate, let me just say thank you for all who watch. Thank you for all who pray. And we thank you for just the kind of this little family we call our video devotionals, and we do appreciate you, okay? All right, so at this point, as I read the verse here, it says, Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and saith unto the disciples, Sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. So at this point, what's called the Last Supper has been conducted. They're headed up to the Mount of Olives, this place called Gethsemane. And he says to the disciples there that are with him, everyone except Judas, and we know Judas will be the one who will betray him. And but he says, I want you to come, as it says here, now I'm going to go and pray yonder. Notice it's in verse 37, and he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. So the two sons of Zebedee are James and John. So you have that inner three, Peter, James, and John. You hear that often in a sermon. People make that, they say that. Well, here's the three that have been separated from the other 8 that are there. And he tells them, he took him with him. And then saith he unto them in verse 38, My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. Now imagine if you were with somebody and you said to them, Look, I am very, very distressed, even unto death. Will you wait here and watch with me? Which means, the word watch means to stay awake, to kind of be awake, vigilant. And that's what he says to them. And it says, he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. And he cometh unto the disciples and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? So Jesus was praying there, and he says, could you not stay awake for 1 hour? And imagine what he had already said to them. And he says in verse 41, and this is where we're going to stop, Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. the spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. And then, of course, it goes on to say that he's going to find them asleep again. But notice here, he asked them, particularly Peter, James, and John, he asked them to watch with me. He didn't use the language or use the word to pray. He asked them to watch. But he did say over here when he came back to them and found them asleep, he said here, watch and pray, all right, that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. All right, so let's say they're tired, they're weary, whatever it might be. I believe at that moment when Jesus is going through what he's going through, I believe there was a sense of pressure. Certainly the disciples are sensing, though I think they didn't understand, they're sensing this heaviness. Did he not say prior to this point, when we think about John, those chapters, I think it's chapters 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, all that's Jesus praying, and part of that is involving conversations and basically tremendous truths like let not your heart be troubled. That was the very night of Jesus when he's going to be arrested and would be betrayed. So there is that heaviness, and there is that where, in fact, he said there right before when they're having the Last Supper, one of you is going to betray me. And all of them said, is it I? And of course, Judas knew it was going to be himself, but there's that's upon them. And then Jesus takes them up to the Garden of Gethsemane, and he asked them to watch, stay awake. That's what he said, particularly to the three, Peter, James, and John. And then they fall asleep, and he comes back and says, watch and pray. So I guess here's the practical side of this. I think when Jesus said, I want you to watch, stay awake, if you will, and he mentioned the fact that he was sorrowful even unto death, would not the reaction be the next thing you would do, that if Jesus walks away from them, and let's say they can see him fall on the ground and begin to pray, I don't know if they was within distance to be able to hear it, but if someone told you they are very distressed, would you wait right here while I go a little space from you? Would you not pray for them? Would someone have to say, like Jesus, I know I told you to watch, but would it not be almost, we'll use the word natural, the thing to do, to pray? And he comes back and he says, watch and pray, that you enter not into temptation. So I guess, when you think about life and think about if we're praying, does that not put us in a position where we're not going to be in a position to sin or to yield to some type of temptation? So what I'm saying is prayer is so important, and especially when things are going on around you that really just lead to prayer, and oftentimes intense prayer. When we think about this situation going on in Israel, is it not almost literally the thing to do to pray, to be in our minds watchful and thinking about that situation, thinking about in light of all Scripture, thinking about prophecy that's yet to be fulfilled, and to think of what happened to those people, and especially people who were not soldiers. These were just people, civilians. And you're talking about men, ladies, children, babies, slaughtered, and all that's going on. And then to think of some of the reaction of the world is to not fully support Israel and all of that. And certainly as Christians, we know that in the natural sense, they're God's people from the national standpoint. We know there's lost people that are Jews. I get that. But we know when you look at the Scriptures, Jerusalem is where Jesus will sit on the throne. And Jesus is coming back, and thousands of Jews will be saved one day. So the point is, coming back to this watch and pray, should we not be in an attitude these days for our nation, for the people around us, for our church, to watch and pray, and to not be one that's kind of sleeping, to find one that can't muster enough spiritual strength to say, I need to pray, and I need to be watchful. And of course, the benefit of that is, besides the prayers being answered, is that you enter not to temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. So I know it's kind of heavy today, but let's think about the situations around us, the people around us, and let's watch and pray. So we're going to end right there. Hope you have a great day, healthy day, safe day. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow on Trusting Thursday. Have a wonderful day.